bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. As always, we're powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com, your home for everything Lakers. Guys, today we're going to be talking about everything going on in the world of the Los Angeles Lakers. And joining me is Hannah Kulik from Lakers Nation. Hannah, thanks so much for hopping on here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on tonight, Trevor.
So much going on right now around the NBA. I mean, we're already seeing trade rumors. We're already seeing all sorts of different situations pop up. It's been a dramatic season. We've got a lot to dig our teeth into. But how's everything going for you? We haven't had you on the show in it seems like a little while here. How's everything been?
It's been good. It was a little crazy. Unfortunately, I had to evacuate when the fires hit us. They actually came right up to my backyard and the wind shifted. So it was a miracle. It didn't get our house. Everything was safe. But, unfortunately, a lot of people did lose their homes. So I was very lucky. It's been definitely a crazy last few weeks, but I'm happy to kind of get everything back to normal. Had Thanksgiving. The holidays are here and just kind of get everything, back to normal and back to the happier times.
Yeah, I mean, it's moments like that where you you take a step back and you go, gosh, it is just basketball, right? There's things that are bigger than basketball or whatever else we get caught up in. There's other things that are more important. And certainly, things like what happened with these fires puts it all in perspective.
Exactly. And it's so crazy because you always think it'll never happen to you. And then when the firemen are out there and all of a sudden it's like panic mode and it's all of a sudden it's real. It's not kind of like this dream or this story that you're hearing. It's pretty scary, but I was very fortunate and very lucky. So I'm very thankful. Well,
yeah, we're glad everything worked out for you and you didn't wind up losing anything in your house or anything like that. Have you been able to keep up on Lakers basketball in the midst of all that?
Oh no, Trevor, I haven't watched a game. I haven't done anything. No, of course that's been my solace through it all. Just watching the Laker games, writing my articles. So of course I've been keeping up with our Lakers. How could I not? I'm Laker Hannah after all.
That's right. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a number of different topics here. We're going to talk all about what's going on with the Lakers and a lot of different things. I am going to try to make it through here. You guys who have been watching the Lakers Nation postgame show, you know that the last two shows I've been solo. It's been just me. And, which, I mean, is fine. I love getting to interact with the fans and all the questions you guys have been throwing at me. If you're not checking out the post-game show, go check. We're on Facebook Live, the Lakers Nation Facebook page. It's got like 3 million followers. So go check it out. Follow it if you're not. Cause after every game, I hop on there. Sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I don't, but I take your questions. They pop up right on my screen. I get to respond directly to you guys. So go check that out. But the last couple of shows, I've been struggling, been dealing with this cold I've been having, and I've had to cut the last couple shows short. So I'm hopeful here, Hannah, that you're going to be my good luck, and I'm going to make it through this entire podcast without coughing or anything like that.
I think you got this, Trevor. And you know what? Luckily, I'm here. I can talk about the Lakers to pretty much a wall. So if you need me to take over, just let me know, and I'll talk as much as you need me to tonight. Perfect.
And I guess worst case, even if I do start coughing, the podcast affords me the ability to go back and edit, which is wonderful. I can't do that when we're live on Facebook. First thing I want to get into. So rumor came up today that Bradley Beal wants out of Washington. He wants to leave the Washington Wizards. And then after the game, the Wizards beat the Houston Rockets. It was in OT. And James Harden went off for 54 points. It was just crazy game, back and forth. And afterwards, Bradley Beal was asked about it. He said, no, that's nonsense and everything. But you know what? His name has been out there so much. So many people have been speculating that the Wizards may consider dealing him. Hannah, what are your thoughts? I want to start just with the fit on Bradley Beal, and then I'm going to get into the cap stuff a little bit and explain how all that would work. But what do you think about the fit of Bradley Beal possibly coming to the Lakers?
Well, listen, obviously, he would be a good fit for the Lakers. He's a sharp shooting guard, and the Lakers obviously need some shooting. And to play alongside LeBron, he'd be that kind of perfect wing player. Something that I did find interesting, though, is I found some stats that compared Bradley Beal when he was 21 years old versus Brandon Ingram when he was 21 years old. And I just kind of maybe wanted to talk a little bit about that. So when Bradley Beal was 21, 4 years ago, he was averaging 15.3 points, 3.8 rebounds, 3.1 assists per game. He was shooting 40% from 3-point range. And Ingram right now is at 15.8 points, 4.6 rebounds, 2.1 assists. And, you know, when you were kind of comparing Bradley Beal and Brandon Ingram, Ingram's probably never going to be as consistent of an outside shooter as Beal, but Beal's also never going to have Ingram's 6'9" height and his 7'3" wingspan. So I don't know, as much as Bradley Beal would definitely be a good fit for this Lakers team, I'm very biased towards our young players, and I really would like to just see us kind of continue with Brandon Ingram. I mean, is he better than Brandon Ingram? I don't know if he's going to be. I just think Ingram has so much potential. I'm not sure if Bradley Beal if we really want to kind of put all of our chips in Bradley Beal's basket.
Well, I mean, that's just it. When you're looking at this situation, right? Bradley Beal, very good player. You mentioned Brandon Ingram though, and that would probably be the name that the Wizards would ask for, right? If they were to trade Bradley Beal, if you're any team really, and you're negotiating with the Lakers, that's the guy you want, is Brandon Ingram. So putting that out there, knowing that he could potentially be in a deal like that, you have to wonder, first of all, Bradley Beal at 25, what does Brandon Ingram look like at 25? Is he better than Bradley Beal is right now? And then does that even matter? Because maybe you need the guy who's more ready to play right now because there's this guy named LeBron James in Los Angeles now. So maybe it's now, whereas last year we would have just been aghast at the thought of moving a guy like Brandon Ingram for someone who's a few years older but is a little bit more polished at this stage for a win now piece, which Bradley Beal certainly is. But now the whole dynamic changes, and we kind of have to wonder, is that the path the Lakers might pursue? Might they move some of these young guys as soon as the trade deadline coming up in February in order to win now? Hannah, what do you think about that whole trade-off? Is that something that would be acceptable to go ahead and make a win now move, even if it means parting with one of the young core?
It's interesting that you mentioned that, Trevor, because, you know, to start the season, like you kind of just said, I would have thought, no way, definitely not. But one of the biggest things I don't want to be a negative Nancy or anything, but I have been a little frustrated and disappointed with our young players, especially Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, because I was really expecting them to have big seasons this year. And so far, they just have not been able to do it consistently. So whereas in the beginning of the season, I would have thought it would have been crazy to trade any of our young guys, you know, the Lakers may be getting impatient. And like you mentioned, you know, now that we do have LeBron James, the Lakers are in that kind of win now mentality. And so maybe making a trade and acquiring a guy like Bradley Beal is not too, you know, far out of range. But for me, in my personal opinion, I would rather ride it out with our young players. It's going to take a lot to get Bradley Beal. And I don't necessarily think right now, if I was a general manager, obviously I'm not, but if I was, I don't think I would do it right now. But I can definitely see where the Lakers are getting frustrated and they may want to be, or they may be more inclined to make that move.
Yeah, whether it's Bradley Beal or whoever, maybe they're able to make a win now move. Obviously Anthony Davis would be a great fit for them. We'll talk about him in a moment. He'd be a great fit with any team in the league though. So Bradley Beal, I mean, when you look at, and by the way, Hannah, I almost let this slide here. You were almost a little bit kind of critical of Kyle Kuzma. I never thought we'd see the day.
Trevor, I've been very critical of Kyle Kuzma. Listen, just because he's my favorite player doesn't mean he's not going to get the pass. I have been very disappointed in him. I was expecting big things from him. And yes, we have seen flashes of it where he's had good games, but especially, you know, these last couple of weeks, he's really dipped off. You know, in the beginning of the season, even though he wasn't playing that amazing, he was still finding a way to score around 20 points per game. And we've definitely seen those numbers dip down. I've been very disappointed with Kyle Kuzma this season. I don't think he's been as aggressive. His shooting hasn't been as consistent. He has been playing pretty well defensively, so I will give him that. But I was expecting big things from Kuzma. So far, I have not seen it. The season is still early. So hopefully he'll pick it up, but I'm not going to give him a free pass.
Well, I certainly respect that. I mean, it's always tough to go at the guys that you're a big fan of and everything. I will say though, I haven't been super impressed with Kuzma's defense. I feel like that's been the weaker part of his game has been his defense. He's been getting picked on quite a bit by a lot of teams. The first time they went and played Orlando, the Magic were having Evan Fournier guard him. Never Google guard him, and he wasn't doing much. Kuzma wasn't able to really take advantage of the situation, and we're seeing other teams just pick on him by trying to put him into pick and roll and get their strongest players going at Kuz. So that's but you know what? Hey, against the Magic this last time, which was an unfortunate loss and was a tough one. Kuzma was, 21 points, 4 boards, 5 assists. He had a really strong start. I think he had 11 points within the first few minutes of the game. So it was like he finally showed some of that potential. I think it's still there. He's just got to put it all back together, and hopefully he can get his legs under him. But I don't want to derail this too much. Bradley Beal he'd be an interesting fit because we know this Lakers team needs shooting. All right. I mean, they haven't been that poor of an outside shooting team. They've actually been pretty good. As I recall, last I looked, they were about 11th or 12th in threes, which nobody would have predicted that. But they could still use the floor spacing of a guy like Beal. But the question is, do you want to take on his salary? Okay. No, Hannah, Bradley Beal is going to make $25 million this season. So you've got to match salary with that. So we're not talking about just giving up Brandon Ingram. You're talking about Brandon Ingram plus other pieces. And that's where things start to get a little bit tricky. Would you be okay if the deal was, and let me double check here. So he's making $25,400,000 this season. So to get there, would you be okay with, say, KCP, who, by the way, has a de facto no trade clause? So this is a pure hypothetical. He could totally nix this whole thing. But KCP, Brandon Ingram, and a smaller contract just to make it where you say Ivica Zubac or whoever, would you be okay with sending out a package like that? So you're giving up a little bit of depth plus Ingram. Do you think that's a breaking point for LA?
Well, I mean, if that's what we're doing, if we're going to give KCP, which we can't, so we're saying hypothetically here, but if we're going to give KCP Zubac, who's, we can throw in Zubac anywhere. Unfortunately, he's just obviously not going to be the player fans and I myself were expecting when the Lakers drafted him, so he can go in there. And Brandon Ingram, I don't want to give up Brandon Ingram, but maybe you do have to look at it if the Lakers are more and I want to win now. I don't think that's that bad of a trade for the Lakers. Again, I don't want to get rid of Brandon Ingram, but I think in order to get Brandon Ingram, I think they're going to be asking for more than that. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Yeah, I could see where Washington would want even more. Beal is just 25 years old. He's a rising star in the league. He's not like a top tier player or anything, but he's pretty darn good. I'll tell you where it falls apart for me. And I think you could make a rational argument that yes, if it's Brandon Ingram and KCP or Brandon Ingram and Rondo plus like a Michael Beasley or somebody in order to make the salaries match or whoever, I think you can make an argument there. Right? Even if you're a big Brandon Ingram fan, you can at least justify it. But here's the problem. Okay. And it comes down to math because Bradley Beal this year makes $25 million. Next year, he makes 27. The year after that, he makes 28. All right. So when you do that, when you add on that salary, Brandon Ingram is going to get paid by the Lakers next season. So his contract would no longer be on the books next year if you trade him. But KCP would be an expiring. A guy like Rondo would be an expiring. So that money that you're going to have freed up by having KCP's contract expire, by having Rondo's contract, all these guys, if you include some of them in that deal, then you're not getting that money wiped off the books. And the Lakers, as it stands right now, have just barely, by the skin of their teeth, have just barely enough cap space to throw a max deal at this guy named Kevin Durant this next summer. So if you make a move right now and you go get Bradley Beal, pretty much no matter who you put in, you're going to be negatively impacting your cap space next summer, and you will no longer, without making another move, you will no longer be able to go offer Kevin Durant a max contract. So throw in the opportunity cost of not being able to pitch Kevin Durant, and I think that's where it really falls apart for the Lakers. Do you agree, or am I way off base to just not consider something just because of the possibility of Kevin Durant?
No, 100% I agree with you, Trevor. And the thing is to me, regardless Kevin Durant or not, just taking everything off the table, I don't think Bradley Beal's worth $25 million, $26 million, whatever it is. I don't think he's worth it. I think he's a good player, but I think there are other players out there that I would much rather put that money towards besides Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I mean, basically the Lakers would have to look at it and say, okay, if we take on Bradley Beal, that means no more max slot, at least not a full max for a 10-year player like KD, right? So if you're going to do that, Bradley Beal's got to be it. He's got to be the piece that you're convinced is going to put you over the top, because you're not going to have room to add more guys. Yeah, maybe you can trade some more of the young pieces and bring in some more win now help. But unless you're convinced that Bradley Beal is going to be one of those pieces that is going to put you into the NBA Finals, then I don't think you do it. I could see where maybe this summer, if the Lakers strike out on free agents, maybe then you make a trade for Bradley Beal and you can include some other contracts and things like that. Maybe you use some of your cap space in order to absorb Bradley Beal, plus you toss in a young player or something. Maybe you go that route. But I just don't see the Lakers punting on the opportunity to pitch Kevin Durant. Not when you've got Magic Johnson and his ability to apparently wink at players and get them to sign like with LeBron James. Although I guess the wink didn't work out with Paul George, so maybe that's not such a great strategy.
Yeah, let's not bring back Paul George. You already talked about the Orlando game twice and now Paul George. I'm like, oh my gosh, Trevor. I'm feeling my dinner come up a little bit. But no, I mean, I disagree with you. I don't think it's something that we should be doing right now. Like you said, come this summer, we don't sign anyone, then we can kind of maybe look to make that trade. But as of now, for what it's going to cost the Lakers, I think it's just going to negatively impact this team and what we really want to do in our future. At least in my opinion, I just don't think it would be a smart move to do right now.
We're going to take a quick break so we can talk about Fanatics. Guys, we are so thrilled to have Fanatics as one of our sponsors today. They are the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. They have the best selection, including trusted brands like Nike and Jordan Brand, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. One of my favorite things is their jersey assurance program. If you buy a player jersey and that player is traded within 90 days, Fanatics will replace your jersey with another player from your favorite team or your favorite player's jersey with their new team. Comes in handy given how crazy the NBA can be around the trade deadline. They have hundreds of Lakers products, including Nike and Fanatics branded fast break jerseys for LeBron James and all your other favorite Lakers. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. You can support our podcast, which we certainly appreciate, and get free shipping on your order through December 31st by shopping fanatics.com/LakersNation. Again, go check them out, fanatics.com/LakersNation. Get all the Lakers gear that you need for the holidays and support our show, fanatics.com/LakersNation. Okay, let's throw another name out there then. Okay, Chris Middleton. Milwaukee Bucks, he's going to be a free agent this summer, right? He's not the top tier guy. He's not Kevin Durant. He's not Klay Thompson. He doesn't have that kind of name value. Although I think he's a really good player. Maybe you put him close to Klay Thompson's tier. He's not Kawhi Leonard, right? He's not going to be with the best of the best that are up there this summer, but he's a really good player. And Sean Devaney of the Sporting News just reported there will be opportunities to explore both the Lakers and Clippers. Sources say will have interest in Middleton, and he'll have options with rebuilding teams such as New York, Dallas, and Cleveland. So rebuilding teams might go after him, or maybe he's a fallback option. We know the Clippers are going to be trying to get one, maybe two star level players. They're going to try to bring Kawhi Leonard to Los Angeles as a Clipper. They're going to try to bring in Kevin Durant as a Clipper. They're going to chase after the same guys the Lakers are. Maybe Chris Middleton is that fallback option. Hannah, would that be a big failure for the Lakers? If they're keeping their eye on Chris Middleton. would it be bad if they wound up with him this summer instead of, say, a Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, one of those guys?
Well, listen, obviously Middleton's a great two-way player. He can play defense, he can space the floor. So thinking of that in terms of with LeBron James, obviously Middleton's ability to sink threes, you can see where that would be a nice pairing. But again, I think the Bucks are going to be opening up that checkbook because they want to keep him with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I just don't think that – I think it's going to really take the Lakers – they're going to offer him a max contract, and I just don't think he's worth that money as well. He would have to replace Ingram or Kuzma, and, he's 27 years old. He is averaging 19 points per game right now, but is he really worth that max contract? And personally, I just believe that Kuzma and Ingram have the potential to be much better than him. I mean, I may just be a little biased because I just feel very invested in our young players. Mm-hmm. I can understand where it could be an interesting thing to bring him on, but I just, at the end of the day, I don't think it's the smartest move for the Lakers.
Well, no, I mean, you could get him as a free agent and you wouldn't have to get rid of Kuzma and Ingram. You can keep those guys. You can keep everybody and just bring him in as a free agent this summer. He just isn't quite that name value. Even though the numbers that he puts up are very, very good. Even his advanced stats look great when you dig into synergy. He's a good player on both ends of the floor. He just doesn't, I mean, he plays up in Milwaukee. He's in Giannis's shadow. He's got all these other things going on. So you don't really hear about him as much. So he flies under the radar a bit. He's going to get a max contract though. There's so many teams out there that are going to have cap space this summer. Someone will throw a max deal at Chris Middleton, and maybe it's Milwaukee. I mean, they're in second place in the East right now. They're having one of their most successful seasons ever. They are a serious contender to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even the NBA Finals in the East. So what do you think? I mean, if Lakers fans had to settle for Chris Middleton after we've been hearing Kevin Durant, we've been hearing Klay Thompson, we've been hearing all these different names, would that be a little bit of a downer this summer if that's the guy that they land?
If we just get Chris Middleton this summer, that would definitely be a little bit of a downer. But if you're imagining maybe like a big three of LeBron James, let's say we get Anthony Davis and then we get Chris Middleton, then that's something that's more exciting for me. Or if we get,
that would be interesting.
Right. If we get LeBron James or we get Kevin Durant and then Chris Middleton, then okay, I could see that. But just getting Chris Middleton would definitely be a little bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting. So the Anthony Davis thing, we've heard for a long time links between Anthony Davis and the Lakers. And there's nothing set in stone, but I mean, the Lakers have been hoarding this cap space for a reason. I feel like they know something. Magic Johnson has at least got to have a pretty good sense that they're going to be at a very attractive destination this summer because they've got the cap room now. They've got the ability to go after some of these guys. They've got LeBron in place already. And it feels like Davis's name has just been brought up so often. Now they'll have to trade for him because he's not a free agent until not this summer, but the following summer. But still, if the Pelicans decide to part ways, or if the Pelicans offer Anthony Davis that supermax deal, we pay him something like $240 million. If they offer him that and he declines it, they basically have to trade him. They have to. I mean, there's nothing else they can do. I guess technically, sure, they could let his contract run out. He could play for them for one more season and then he'll leave in free agency. But if you offer the guy more money than any other team can even come close to offering and he doesn't accept that, then it's clear he's leaving. They'll trade him. And that's where maybe the Lakers can come in and bring him on board. And that would certainly make things interesting. If you can come up with enough salary to send out to bring in Anthony Davis, still land another top flight guy, then the Lakers could be off and running with a new big three. But, man, that would be a big summer for the Lakers, and Chris Middleton would actually fit really nicely in that. Okay, Hannah, we've been talking too much about next summer.
Let's focus on the present, Trevor.
I get ahead of myself sometimes. It's just the way my brain works. So there's basketball going on right now. The Lakers have been playing. Obviously that was a tough loss to the Orlando Magic. 2 tough losses to them. Sorry to bring that up again.
Oh gosh.
They're sitting at 11 wins and 8 losses. Here's the thing though. The West is so nuts. Right? The entire Western Conference is just so packed with this just group of teams that all can claim to be playoff contenders. The Lakers, if they won those 2 games against the terrible Orlando Magic, well, they're not terrible. They're actually, if I'm looking at this right, they're actually beating the Golden State Warriors right now. Yeah, they're beating them by 12 kind of as we're recording right now. But if they had beaten the Magic, like they probably should have, if they had beaten them those 2 games, the Lakers right now would be tied for first place in the West. Instead, they're sitting in 7th because they lost 2 games. I mean, that's how close the West is. The Utah Jazz, who are second to last in the Western Conference, are only 5 games out of first. I mean, there's so many good teams in the West. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. And so you see this Lakers team that is trying to push their way towards the top of the West. And I feel like as these games are getting closer and it's late in the games, we're seeing LeBron be leaned on more and more and more. So here's what I want to ask you. He played 40 minutes against the Orlando Magic. Are the Lakers running the risk right now of asking LeBron James to do too much? From what you're seeing out there on the floor, is there too much of a reliance on LeBron James right now?
Well, here's the thing, Trevor, and I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier on in the show tonight, but I think LeBron is doing what he has to do. Like I kind of said, I've been pretty disappointed with our young core. I don't really think anyone has stepped up consistently. And from what I've seen during the game for the first 3 quarters, LeBron's been more than happy to let other players put up their shots and let other players have the ball. But if the Lakers start to fall behind, that's when we really see him start to assert himself. And when we get to the 4th quarter, that's when he's starting to feel like he has to take over. And I mean, obviously the Lakers have played in a lot of games. Most of them have been very close in the 4th quarter, even if the Lakers had a pretty nice, sizable lead throughout the game. So LeBron's kind of just doing what he has to do. Unfortunately, no other player has really stepped up. And I don't want to keep sounding like a negative Nancy because I feel like I kind of am. But if you take LeBron James off this team, it would be pretty scary, I think, where we would be. We would be like a lottery team. And that's sad to say because I was really expecting our younger players to play more of a bigger role consistently. Not saying that they don't have their flashes and that they haven't had their moments, but consistently I've been very disappointed with them. So I don't think LeBron James is doing too much. I think he's doing what he has to do in order for the Lakers to win games. And is this going to hurt the Lakers down the road? I don't know. I was hoping he wasn't going to have to do this, but unfortunately this is just what he's having to do right now.
Yeah, and I think here's you mentioned the young core. They were, expected, and maybe it's not fair to place those expectations on 3 guys that are so young, in Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Kuzma, but they were expected to step up and be the kind of the next tier of player on the Lakers behind LeBron. They were expected to be kind of the secondary scorers, the guys who were going to go and get buckets, and LeBron was going to have all his pressure taken off of him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it hasn't really happened. So, and part of that is, like you said, consistency. So these young guys have not been consistent at all. And that's part of that is the mark of just being a young player. But when you've got LeBron James out there, Lonzo Ball's got to be aggressive every game. Kyle Kuzma's got to be somewhat effective every game. Brandon Ingram has to be able to score, has to be able to defend every game. And what we've seen is instead we've got LeBron and maybe one of the young guys steps up. If it's a real good game, 2. But we've yet to see all 3 of the young players click with LeBron James in the same game. And so because of that, it feels like the Lakers need a secondary scorer. They need somebody else who can step up and really become the guy. Because right now, you don't know if it's going to be Kyle Kuzma on any given night, if it's going to be Brandon Ingram, if it's going to be Lonzo Ball. They don't have that other player to turn to. And especially with Rajon Rondo out right now, that leadership on the floor is just not really there. So you're right in that it's not a concern because LeBron's doing what he's supposed to do, but I don't know if this can persist long term. I think at some point, one of these guys has got to step up. At least one of them has got to take that mantle, say, I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the Robin to LeBron's Batman. This is my time to shine. I'm going to take over. And I thought it was going to be Brandon Ingram. And it's just not happening right now.
Exactly. We were all expecting it. Like you just said, we were all saying, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma are going to kind of be that 2A, 2B option for the Lakers. And we've yet to see it. And honestly, one could argue that JaVale McGee has been the second most consistent player on the team so far. this season. Yeah. And that's very disappointing because we were all expecting it to be Ingram or Kuzma. And listen, if the Lakers are going to want to make some sort of a playoff run, and they're going to need one of those guys to step up. It's not going to be, we'll just see what happens. They're going to need to get mad, get angry, whatever it is, but stay aggressive every night, because that's been the biggest thing for me. Is we even mentioned it earlier. We've had some games where Kuzma's gotten off to these great first quarters. He scored 11 points in the first quarter, and then he's been pretty much like a no-show for the rest of the game. And we need to see these guys play hard, be aggressive for 48 minutes a game, not just one quarter, not just one game. We need to see them do it consistently. So as this season progresses, I'm hoping that, eventually they're just going to get frustrated and they're going to say, listen, I've got to get mad. I've got to step up, because it just has not happened now. And if the Lakers want to be successful this season, want to make a deep playoff run, it's going to have to happen.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to have to. Otherwise, they're going to have to make a trade by the trade deadline. They're going to have to find somebody else who can, because I don't think you can head into the playoffs with the team playing like this. And not to say they've played poorly. I mean, they're right about where you would expect them to be record-wise and everything. So, I don't want to sound too harsh on them. I'm just saying, hey, improvements have got to be made if they're going to eventually make a playoff push. Plenty of time to do that, by the way. It's still early in the season. We're only about a quarter of the way through the season. Tons of time for things to come together. And I also want to throw in this. Their playing style has changed already. Part of the way through the season, it's already been shifted because of the arrival of Tyson Chandler. Think back to the summer, right? The offseason. We were all talking about how Kyle Kuzma was going to have to play this small ball center role, the Julius Randle role from last year, and wondering whether or not he could do it, and how the Lakers were going to play small because they had this weird center rotation of JaVale and then maybe Ivica Zubac, maybe Mo Wagner. Nobody really knew. And so the team was going to be forced to play small. And suddenly Tyson Chandler, lo and behold, becomes available. Maybe credit to LeBron James and his relationship with Suns interim GM James Jones. Maybe that played a role. We don't know. But suddenly you've got Tyson Chandler in there. And now instead of small ball, that's out the window. The Lakers have a big on the floor, a traditional big in either Chandler or McGee almost all the time. So not only is this a new team with new faces and all this stuff, you've also got a shift in style. And so adapting to that, they're trying to figure out who they are as a team and figure out where they need to be. Are they the super fast-paced running team that's just going to fast break you into the ground? Are they the defensive team that's going to just grind you? How are they going to play? And I think that's also been a factor here. And Hannah, I've got some numbers here on their pace. I've noticed just watching the games that the Lakers have slowed down a little bit. Is that something that you've seen as well? What do you attribute that to? I think it's worth diving into. Guys, we're going to pause for just one moment to talk about your home Wi-Fi and Eru. So I had a really big problem in my house. I have a 2-story home, and the problem that I ran into was that certain areas of my home would have no Wi-Fi coverage. And in today's world, that's just not acceptable. So I turned to Eru for a solution, and it has been fantastic. They offer a distributed system. That means that you can have every corner of your home have Wi-Fi coverage, and it only takes a few minutes to set up. All you have to do is download the Eru app on your iOS or Android device, and it will walk you through each step of the process. It is super quick, super easy, painless. It seriously took me maybe 5 minutes to set up, and that was it, and I was done. Current Wi-Fi routers can be really tough to manage and optimize. The Eru app lets you do that, manage your entire network from the palm of your hand. I had guests in town last weekend, and they were able to come in and connect to my system. I didn't have to tell them my password or anything. Right through the Eru app, it told me, hey, somebody's trying to connect. Do you want to let them connect? I was able to connect them. It was very simple, very easy, and the setup was so easy. I was so appreciative of that, because that meant I had more time to spend playing with my kid and hanging out with my wife and doing all the other things that I like to do instead of fumbling through an entire setup of a brand new system. Eru made it so easy to set up their main system as well as the beacons in different rooms in my home. And now my entire house has fantastic Wi-Fi coverage. They also offer great customer support. So if you ever run into any problems at all, they take care of it. They are right there to help you every step of the way. But really, it's so simple. I seriously doubt you're going to have any problem setting this up. It's a tremendous system. It really, really is super easy. And they also have something called Eero Plus. And what this does is it provides simple, reliable security that defends all of your home's devices against a growing number of threats like malware, spyware, phishing attacks, as well as unsuitable content, which as a parent, I'm super concerned about. The combination of Eero with Eero Plus provides complete protection for your network and all the devices and the people who use them as they connect to the internet. Super, super important. So guys, give it a shot. If you've got those spots in your home where the Wi-Fi signal just isn't the best, Eero can solve that. Eero can make your whole home have excellent Wi-Fi coverage. All right, go check them out. And here's maybe the best part. Just because you're listening to this show, you get a special deal. All right, all you have to do is go to Eero.com/nation. Again, Eero.com/nation. You'll never have to think about your Wi-Fi again, and you get $100 off the Eero base unit and 2 beacons, plus a year of Eero Plus. All of that, all you have to do is go to Eero.com/nation and at checkout, enter the promo code NATION. Again, Eero.com/nation, enter that promo code NATION. Go check it out, guys. Made a huge difference in my home. I'm sure it will in yours too.
Well, listen, I don't think it's Tyson Chandler. I mean, I can understand. I mean, obviously he does have some sort of an impact on that, but I actually think getting Tyson Chandler is one of the best things to happen to the Lakers this season. I mean,
agreed. Yeah,
great. Yeah, look at our record since we got him. That was when we really started turning things around and winning some games. And, you know, the biggest kryptonite for the Lakers was the second JaVale McGee came out, the Lakers just got destroyed defensively on the boards. I mean, we needed to get a guy like Tyson Chandler. So getting Chandler was something that's been the best thing, I think, to happen to the Lakers this season so far. But I think the biggest thing that I can attribute this to is just that the Lakers have started playing more isolation ball. They're just not moving the ball as much as they were earlier in the season. You know, LeBron and Ingram, they have the ball in their hands the most, they shoot the most, and they've kind of been tending to play a lot of isolation ball. Obviously, with LeBron James, he's kind of had to because he's had to kind of take over in many games if the Lakers wanted to win. But just in general, I think that's what I can really really acquire this to be, is just the fact that the Lakers have kind of gone from moving the ball to just playing more isolation ball.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of ISO play from them. I don't want to get on my soapbox too much here, but at the end of games, that drives me crazy. When the Lakers say the last 5 minutes of the game, 6 minutes of the game, if they have a lead, they have any kind of a lead, it's a 1-point lead, they walk it up. They slow the game down. They go to ISO. Just throw the ball to LeBron, let him do what he's going to do. I think you can do that in certain situations, but overall, I'd like to see them move the ball a bit more. I'd like to see them actually, run a play. I think that can be valuable. And you see a lot of teams do it. They're not the only team that does this in the NBA, but I'd like to see a little bit more of some real plays being run instead of just ISO and doing that. And that's that it does come down to slowing the game down. That does play a role in that. But I also think that when they were going small, when you've got Kyle Kuzma on the floor, they're gambling. And the gamble is that Kuzma at center, or whoever it is, the small guy that's at center, is going to be able to score enough points. Their offense is going to be potent enough that it's going to mitigate any issues, or it's going to more than make up for any problems that they're going to have on the boards or with players inside abusing them. Okay, they're going to come down like the Houston Rockets strategy is, hey, if you score on the inside with us, because we've got Clint Capella on the bench, if you score inside, we're going to make it as hard as we can. But if you score inside on us, hey, that's fine, because we're going to come down and we're going to stick a 3 on you on the other end, because you're not going to be able to chase all of our smaller players around and we can all shoot. Right? That's their game plan. It hasn't worked out exactly that well as this season, but that's what they want to do. And that's kind of what the Lakers are trying to do there as well. And now you've got Tyson Chandler in there. Well, you suddenly don't have to go warp speed in search of a 3 at the other end. You can dig in on defense, and then you can still push the ball, but you've got that low post option. You've got a guy that you can give the ball to that can at least make passes to cutters and things like that. So it's changed the game, I think. It's changed the way that they're playing in terms of their stats. The Lakers on the season are 4th in pace overall. But since Tyson Chandler arrived, they're 8th in pace. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. Okay. Their defensive rating has gotten better. They were 10th in the NBA overall for the entire season. But just in the small sample size of having Tyson Chandler, they're 5th. 5th in defensive rating overall. Right? Their offensive rating right now is 12th, but it's dropped all the way to 19th since Tyson Chandler arrived. So they're having a little bit more trouble getting good looks, but they're playing much better defense. At some point, you've got to hope that the offense catches up and not that the defense drops off. And that was the opposite early in the season. The offense was ahead of the defense at the very beginning, first few games of the season. So this team is all over the place. Right there, they're up and down in offensive rating and defensive rating. Now, they started the season as an offensive team. Now they're more of a defensive team. And I mean, I can only imagine how difficult that is for the players as they're trying to adapt here, right?
Yeah, well, another thing that we could mention, a reason that maybe their offensive rating has gone down a little bit is Rajon Rondo being injured.
Yep.
As well. So, one could argue, okay, well, Rajon not being on the floor is definitely, not having another true point guard out there could definitely be hurting us offensively as well. So I think when Rondo comes back, I'm curious to see. I think we are going to kind of get back. Obviously, our offense will be picking up a little bit, but I am happy about our defensive rating going up, because that was something that obviously we really struggled with in the beginning of the season. And that small ball lineup when Kuzma was the center it was nice in theory, but we saw it not work. And the Lakers were getting completely destroyed. Unfortunately, Kuzma was not hitting his outside shots consistently, and not enough players in general on the team were hitting their outside shots consistently enough for that to work.
Yeah. And you know what? Hey, credit to the Lakers for seeing that, recognizing that, and then making the change. That's not easy to do, right? If they've been telling themselves, hey, everything's going to be fine, Kyle Kuzma, small ball center, this is going to work, to a few games into the season saying, hey, all right, it's not working, let's try something else. That's a credit to them for admitting that something's not working out. I mean, sometimes that's a tough thing to do. It's you kind of swallow your pride and you have to say, okay, what needs to happen here for the team? And the Lakers have done that. And yes, a lot of that is Tyson Chandler coming in, but still they changed their strategy on the fly in order to better the team. And I think the team has been better, even if their offensive rating is slipping. I think overall they've been better than what we saw at the very beginning of the season. And so, yeah, I mean, credit to Luke Walton and everybody else in the organization for going ahead and doing that. I think ultimately what we'd like to see is the team kind of settle in. Right now they're 5th in defensive rating. If you can keep between 5 and 10 in defensive rating, golden. We'll take that. If they can sit maybe around 10 in offensive rating, then that's the sweet spot. That's where you've got a really, really dangerous team. So that's going to be the thing to watch. Can the Lakers defense over these next few weeks stay at a high level, or at the level that they've been at, and their offense improve and start to click? And my goodness, Hannah, can we stop with the turnovers?
I mean, Trevor, if they don't, I'm going to lose my mind. I mean, first of all, Brandon Ingram's had so many turnovers these last few games. I mean, it's like every time he has the ball, I feel like he just turns it over. Obviously, that is a little bit because he is playing with the ball in his hands more. He's playing that point guard position, which is not his biggest, his strongest forte. But, once Rondo comes back, hopefully that'll clear some things up. But man, it has been ugly.
It has. I can imagine. You yell at your TV, right?
Oh, yes. I've actually had the police come to my house a couple times because my dad and I, when we were watching, were screaming so loud that people thought someone was getting murdered.
Okay. I've never had the cops called on me for yelling at my TV. The problem now is I can't say all the words that I would like to say because I have a 2-year-old walking around.
Oh, yeah.
Who repeats everything. Yeah. So that's been an issue. Otherwise my wife gets mad at me. So yeah, that's been the challenge. The turnovers are driving me crazy. And I think if they can clean that up, just do that, and their offensive rating is going to go up, right? So if they can just limit their turnovers and not, I know turnovers, part of that is they're getting out on the break and they're trying to go fast and they're trying to take advantage of opportunities in transition, and that's fine. But if they can cut down on those turnovers, cut them down to whatever, 15, 16 a game, then I think they're in business.
Exactly.
And I guess that's the thing, right? We talk about all this stuff and sometimes we come across as negative and everything, but the reality is this team is close. They're close to being good. And you can see just little things here and there are making a big difference right now. Gosh, by January, can you imagine if everybody stays healthy by January, maybe into February, what are these guys going to look like once they start to click? That's exciting.
It's going to be very exciting. And, obviously as fans, and, we expected this, we knew that it was going to take a little bit of an adjustment period. And we've seen just exactly that this season. And this December is going to be interesting because I know we were talking about this a little bit before we even started the show, but a lot of these games where if we were to kind of look at the beginning of the season, we would think a lot of these games were very winnable, but we've seen some of these teams that were very unexpectedly playing much better. So it's going to be an interesting test for the Lakers to see how many games they can win this December.
Guys, we're going to pause for one moment because I need to tell you about this new time-saving trick. I got my wife's contact lens prescription renewed while sitting on my couch yesterday. We both sat there in under 5 minutes using an awesome new app called Simple Contacts. We got them renewed. Anyone who wears contact lenses needs to know about this. Simple Contacts lets you renew your prescription and reorder your branded lenses from anywhere in minutes through an online vision test. It's designed by doctors and every test is reviewed by a doctor, so they're literally bringing the doctor's office into your home. My wife hated having to go get her prescription renewed for her contact lenses, and this was so easy. She was so appreciative. It was great to see the whole experience be such a weight lift off of her shoulders. And their contact lens prices are unbeatable. The vision test is only $20 and shipping is free. Best of all, my listeners get $20 off their first Simple Contacts order with the promo code LakersNation. Try it yourself, save $20 on your lenses by going to simplecontacts.com/LakersNation or entering the code LakersNation at checkout. I want to mention this isn't a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam. You still need those occasionally, but it is the most convenient way to renew a prescription and reorder your contacts if your vision hasn't changed. Again, get $20 off at simplecontacts.com/LakersNation or just enter the code LakersNation at checkout. Save time, save money, save yourself a headache. Go check it out. Simple Contacts. Yeah, 100%. In fact, let me pull up the Lakers schedule here because when the schedule came out, the first thing you do is you look at it, we saw the opening stretch and went, oh, that's not going to be easy. Start the season in Portland, then playing Houston, then San Antonio. You've got Denver, San Antonio again, Minnesota, who's been good. They had a tough stretch to open the season. But then you saw it kind of lighten up a little bit. You saw this East Coast road trip. You saw Orlando, Miami, Cleveland. Okay, right? Not bad. But then you look at December. And December has some tough games in it, but now it looks so much worse. And I hate to say that, but it does. Look at it. Okay, December starts off, December 2nd. They're taking on the Phoenix Suns. All right. That's a must win. Must win. Gotta have that one. But then San Antonio, Memphis. So if you're looking at that stretch in August or September and you see San Antonio, you go, oh, those are two tough ones. Oh, but Memphis, that'll be a win. Well, Memphis is now playing really well. Memphis is in the playoffs right now if they were to start today. So that's no longer a gimme. You've got Miami, okay, they should win that one, but I mean Miami can put up a fight. Houston, that's a tough one. Charlotte's been playing better. Washington just took out Houston today, right? So they've been playing well. Brooklyn, again, some of these games they should win. New Orleans has been playing well. They should be a playoff team. Memphis, again, no longer a gimme game. Golden State, Sacramento twice, and the Clippers. Sacramento on December 27th, 28th, 30th to close out the month. And Sacramento is playing much better basketball. De'Aaron Fox is making Lonzo Ball fans angry because of how good he's looking. And the Clippers are in first place in the West right now. The gimme games in December aren't gimmies anymore. They're just not because the teams in the Western Conference have all been playing so well. it could be a long December here to go a little counting crows on us. But yeah, it could be a long December here for the Lakers. It's going to be a real challenge, a bigger challenge, I think, than we thought before the season started.
Especially because, like we've been saying, this Western Conference, every team is so jumbled together. The Lakers really do have to win, and they have to play well this month of December. They can't look at these games and think, oh, these are easy, winnable games, because we all thought that about these Orlando Magic games, and look what's happened to those. I hate to bring up that because I'm going to have nightmares for the rest of my life about the Orlando Magic, but look what's happened. Those should have been winnable games, and they weren't. So we've seen the Lakers, kind of lay an egg out there when they've been playing some of these winnable games. So they can't do that this December, especially not in this tough, steep Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You have to your margin of error gets smaller every time you lose to a team that you shouldn't lose to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality of it. And listen to the closing stretch of the season. The last, 6 games? Last 6 games, if the Lakers don't have a playoff spot sewn up by this point, here's what they have to deal with. New Orleans, OKC, Golden State, the suddenly good Clippers, Utah, and Portland to finish the season.
Not fun.
No, you have to get the wins now. You've got to get them on your record. Don't pass up any opportunities in this Western Conference. I guess that's the crux of this whole thing, is that you have to be able to put those wins. Like, every game matters, because in this Western Conference, it absolutely does.
Exactly, and that's why these past 2 Orlando Magic games have been so tough. And that game back a couple of weeks ago against the Toronto Raptors when Kawhi Leonard didn't play, that one was just, a complete nightmare. And that one's definitely gonna sting. So the Lakers don't have any room for error. So they really have to step up this December and not just, kind of take their foot off the gas pedal at all. They've got to put that foot on the gas pedal full force.
Which is why, going back to our first topic, which is why the organization, the franchise, may be a little more tempted to make a move at the trade deadline to find a win now piece if the young guys haven't stepped up by then.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see, because I think where we said, at the beginning of the season, it sounded crazy. If the Lakers' young players, if Ingram, Kuzma, Lonzo, if they haven't stepped up and they aren't, consistently contributing to this team every night, then it's going to be interesting to see. I think the Lakers front office may be looking to make a move. You know
what, though, Hannah? I'm going to say this. It's going to happen. I'm going to put that out there. I think this is going to happen. I think the young guys are going to step up. I think it's coming. It feels like we're seeing Lonzo Ball start to get some momentum. Kyle Kuzma, I think he's going to start to get going. Brandon Ingram has started slow every season we've had him so far. So I think it's going to happen. I think maybe not in the next 2 weeks, but hopefully it will be. But I'm thinking they're going to really hit their stride within these next few weeks here. Maybe sort of mid-December, they're going to start really ramping up. And then I think by the trade deadline, the Lakers will be set where they'll only make a move if it's a clear home run, no-brainer. Otherwise, I think they keep the young guys through the summer, because I really do think these guys, I still have faith in these guys. I think they are going to step up.
I do too. I have complete faith in these guys, and I'm rooting for them. And I think all of the fans are too. And that's why when we see the fans get so frustrated and things, I think it's because we all want the same thing. We all are rooting for these young guys. We all want them to succeed, and we all believe that they have so much potential. So I'm going to put that out in the universe too, Trevor. I think come, around trade deadline, I think these guys are going to really step up, and I think we're going to start to see Ingram pick it up, Kuzma, Lonzo. So I'm going to put it up in the universe as well. Power of positive thinking, law of attraction, all that positive stuff.
Speak it into existence.
Right?
All right. Well, let's wrap it up on that. Let's wrap up on that positive note. Hannah, hey, thank you so much. First of all, glad everything turned out okay with your house and all of that, and so glad that the fires weren't able to get to your home, and glad you and your family are safe. And thanks so much for coming on here. This was a lot of fun chatting about Lakers basketball.
Thank you so much, Trevor, for having me back on. I'm very glad to be back.
So guys, make sure you go follow Hannah on Twitter. It's at Hannah_Kulik. Go check her out on there. And guys, make sure you do go check out the Lakers Nation post-game show on Facebook Live. After every single game, hop on there, chat directly with us, and we dive into a ton of different topics. And of course, we always appreciate it if you head over to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to this show. And keep heading over to LakersNation.com for all your breaking Lakers news. That's it for today, guys. My name's Trevor Lane. Follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. Till next time. See ya.